What's up, man? What's up, people in the chat? My name is General Shinobi, aka Toby, or actually, my name on my birth certificate is Tobias, actually, but I prefer using Toby. So yeah, call me whatever.
What did you say it was?
Tobias. Yeah.
Tobias. That's cool,
yeah,
dude.
Yeah. My middle name's Fidel as well, after Fidel Castro. So yeah, yeah. Some people were like, "Oh, Tobias is cool," but I prefer Toby. But you know, if people want to call me Tobias, Toby, whatever, like you know.
Toby or not Toby? Tobias is the question.
So yeah, I guess I'm a researcher.
It's a cool YouTube channel name though, eh? Tobias.
Tobias. Just Tobias.
Tobias.
Yeah, I can't remember what it means. It does mean something quite cool. Tobias meaning it means God is good, I think. It's a Hebrew name.
Tobias.
Hebrew name. It means the Lord is good, or Yahweh is good. So that's probably why I've decided to not call myself Tobias.
I get you now. I get you.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but it's just intuitive, I guess.
So let's get cranking straight into the road. We don't have long. We've got like a bit more than an hour and a half, maybe a bit more, till 9:30 p.m. UK time. So we're going to be looking at Project Bluebeam. We're going to be looking at the bigger picture. Now, we've been sold the idea that Project Bluebeam is just a holographic representation of humans being invaded by extraterrestrials, which I'm not saying that that's not a part of Bluebeam, but I think it's a far bigger existential matter, and that a certain amount of information. Namaste, our tuition. How you doing? Hope you're good. It's a certain amount of information I think has been let out into the public. And to be honest, the whole story about a holographic invasion of ET beings, I've never been able to buy it. I don't know. What do you think? Like off the ball, like, is there something smelling fishy about the story we've been presented as if that's what it is?
Yeah, I think that they've always got us looking outwards, not inwards, not what's in the earth under our feet or interdimensional stuff. It's always outside, outer space. And I think that the Project Bluebeam is a fake alien invasion, but I just can't help but feel it's more of a fake AI invasion. It's not actually alien. It's artificial, and it's happening right now. And in World War One, there was the League of Nations created. World War Two, you had the UN, and World War Three, which we're in right now, it's the War of the Mind, will be the one world government, which Project Bluebeam is about. It's about how to bring in the new world order, and that's what we're going to get in today. How we've got to this place now, and then where is it headed if we carry on this trajectory? Because it was I think it was written by Sergei Monast, who was a Canadian conspiracy theorist, it says. But his story is very interesting because his daughter was actually taken from him and by the Canadian government. And shortly after he wrote the steps to bring in the New World Order, which is Project Bluebeam, Project Fear, he died of a heart attack, and so did his friend who co-wrote it with him. So just with that story, that's very, very fishy. It's if he was just a conspiracy theorist, why were the government so on his tail? Why did he have his daughter taken? Because he was homeschooling her, and then also he died under very suspicious circumstances. But Project Bluebeam, people don't really look at the essence or the core of what it actually is. They just look at they just hear, oh yeah, it's just a fake alien invasion. you know, it's a fake alien invasion that's going to happen, and you know that could well be true. That it could be a fake alien invasion, but it's more of an artificial, so an AI invasion. I think that seems to be what's going on.
Namaste to everybody that's joined. Big love and big blessings to you. Om Shanti. Yeah, you know, in modern times, and this is like we can see it right now in the world. I hope my audio level's okay. That should be good. Not too loud, not too soft. There we go. I think that's about 100%. Don't want to be clipping it. Oop, clipping. How's that? Is my audio good? It's not clipping? Perfect, yeah? Lovely. So, very hard to get it exactly right. So these days, when a country gets invaded, it's very seldomly with bombs. The only reason we have physical warfare at all is so that bombs can be sold. And that's not really an invasion. That's sort of an arrangement where, like, Russia and the USA and Europe get together and they say, well, let's have a war over, I don't know, Ukraine. We all get to sell bombs. It's good for our economies. All three of our economies, like we get to spend a lot of money on R&D, new weapons. We get to showcase our weapons for the rest of the world. And before you know it, they'll be lining up buying our weapons because we can show them how well they work, you know, with all of our news reporters showing how we've decimated the place. But that's not war. When they invade, people arrive in diplomatic envoys with suitcases, briefcases, and ties, and suits, and contracts. That's how invasions happen these days. So an invasion, in modern terms, involves going to Africa and giving them money where they need money and saying, listen, would you please farm these particular types of potatoes? We're going to guarantee the price for you for those particular types of potatoes because they're really in demand. And we're going to make sure that you can get that amount for them. And the Africans can be, wow, that will boost our economy. And they say, yeah, the only deal is though you're only allowed to spend our money on our companies, on our Monsanto goods. And this is how this works. And we are the ones who control the sale of the potatoes. Okay, now that's fine. Read the small print. For the first 5 years, the price will be fixed. And after that, we'll just fix the price accordingly as per market value. Then what they do is they go to another country and they do the same thing. And they go to another country and they do the same thing. And 5 years down the line, they've got 20 countries selling their growing their potatoes. And suddenly the price of potatoes crashes. Then they rock up and they say, well, your potatoes aren't worth anything anymore because everybody's growing them. Have you noticed all your neighbors? They're all growing potatoes. Yeah, but they got them from you. Well, they asked for them. We gave them. You know, they wanted the money. We gave them the money. So now you're all growing our potatoes. So your potatoes really aren't worth anything. We noticed you got a bit of gold mining and rare earth materials. Well, we'll have that instead. And while we're at it, why don't we own your water supply? And maybe your infrastructure, your internet, and your information, because there's a lot of money in that. And then we can sort of control the information infrastructures, IT infrastructures in your country, and we can get access to all of your people's data. It's worth money on the international market. Right. Oh, and then we also want to own your cell phone towers, and maybe we want to get contracts for controlling the imports of which products get imported from our countries. And then we end up owning your economy. And that's how war is waged these days, modern warfare. So what level of sophistication would you expect from an advanced extraterrestrial race? You think they're going to come here shooting bombs at us? Or do you think they would come and offer us something like AI? And let us dig our own hole. So I think you're quite right. I think AI is the invasion. And transhumanism, I think that's part of the invasion tactic. I don't know. What are your thoughts on transhumanism?
Yeah, well, everything is connected. Like, for example, the Epstein files just being, well, some of them coming out just now. Why now? Well, it's 2026. Like, the beginning, we've only just got into February, And in India, they've had the Nipah virus outbreak. India landed on the dark side of the moon, which just means the shadow of the feminine. Basically, it's just symbolic. You know, did they fuck land on the moon? It's just symbolic. When I heard that, I was like, okay, what's India going to start doing? And there was a scenario. By the way, I can only see you, by the way. So there was a scenario written in 2025, I think it was July of 2025, about similar to Event 201. So similar to how they planned, you know, what you call the Cowpoke Adventure in 2020, which people can watch on YouTube now. It's called Event 201. Bill Gates Foundation, World Economic Forum, John Hopkins, World Health Organization, in October of 2019, they did another scenario, I think it was July last year, about a Nipah virus outbreak. And then in January of this year, so the start of 2026, there was that in India. So they've played that card. They've tried monkeypox. They want to try and push this Project Fear, which is it's all Operation Bluebeam, to detach us from our core, to detach us from God or source. That is what it is, because that is the only way that they can bring in a one world government, is this if we're split. So if our minds are split, if our heart mind is split, if humanity is split, and they're doing this on all levels. It's on all levels, this war that we're in right now. And where I'm going with this is that they've already done that. We've had the Epstein files, half of them released. Some people are like, why are they releasing them? Is it just to push fear on people, to try and so that they reject this world? They think it's so evil and stuff. It's interesting because in 2008, when Bitcoin was created, which I've heard it was created by Epstein, and I can't remember what the initial stands for. It's like baby trading coin, something like that, Bitcoin. Created in 2008. Well, 2008 was the banking collapse, the financial crisis. And then in 2019, Epstein was arrested, and then there was COVID straight away. It's kind of seemed to be a bit of a cover-up. Now these files have come out, only half. I think that more are going to start coming out potentially. And I've heard that in April of this year, there's going to be a financial collapse, another one. And 2008 was an X, or a number 10. This year is another number 10, another X, another kind of reset year. And this isn't for fear or whatever. It's because I've heard a lot about XRP and then the World Bank using that coin. And then there was a 1997 Simpsons episode where they mention it a lot, and with a banking collapse in April of this year. But I think that perhaps we're gonna get a lot this year. Last year it seemed to be pretty chilled, but I think we're gonna have a lot thrown at us this year. And like when we kind of, it's like how when particles are observed, they collapse into matter. It's just potential. And it can be the opposite too. It's like when this stuff is observed, when we talk about it, when we sort of, we can kind of dissolve it and see it for what it is. So for people who don't know about what Operation Bluebeam and stuff is, as soon as they start seeing these military craft in the sky, like spraying smart dust, whatever they're going to do, if that is what they're going to do, people are going to be fearful and worried. But I think that's going to tie in with a new frequency. 6G is supposed to come out in 2028, I believe, but I think that they might release 6G this year because they need that for holographic technology. And I'm pretty sure they're going to try that this year, 6G with this kind of holographic technology and stuff. But I just found it really interesting that this whole Bitcoin collapse now, the financial collapse in 2028, this Epstein file has been released, which I don't like calling them that, we should call them something else, because it's not just Epstein, is it? It's not just him. It's not the Epstein files. It's the billionaire satanic pedo files. Like, you know, we got to call it what it is. Like, this shit is real. And it does annoy me sometimes, because on my Instagram feed, everyone's talking about it. Lots of people are saying, why have they released them? Oh, it's just to spread fear and stuff. It's like, well, what should we do? Just ignore it? Because I think this is good. More and more people talking about that, because most of us, or a lot of us, have known for a while, but now it's becoming more common knowledge. It's becoming more common knowledge. So as soon as people start talking about that, start talking about what happened to 2020, start talking about this alien invasion they've got planned and stuff, I think it will just dissolve it, or any future stuff that they have planned, because the way this artificial kind of like unhuman energy works is it's a copy. It can only copy stuff. It's not very imaginative. So all of these psyops and stuff are all just recycled. So I think that more and more people start talking about stuff, becoming aware that it's going to start dissolving. But it can seem like there's a lot of evil in the world, and there is lots of stuff coming up to the surface. And I personally think it's a reflection of it's the collective subconscious, and it's dark. And I think that this stuff can't stay under the carpet. It needs to come up. But what I think is that, yeah, I'll let you talk for a bit, 'cause I'm kind of losing my voice a little bit.
Brother, I'm sorry to hear that. You know the best thing for it? Licorice. When next time you go past the local health store, just get the bark. A little bag of pieces of wood, and just chew them. Don't chew them too much though. Yeah? Because it doesn't just soften your voice. Too much licorice will take away your sex drive. It's not good for relationships. Let's just put it that way. But it does soften your voice larynx nicely, and it conditions it. But you want to get the bark and just chew it. Just chew it and just let the juice just go down your throat. It's the best thing for a singer. Or you mentioned something interesting, you know. We all remember the Pizzagate, right? The Pizzagate, like children being delivered like fast food, right? Not a joke. And Hillary, right? Were like hands on the steering wheel. Dear old Hillary. And you know, then in 2000, what was that? 2015, 2016. That was about a decade ago, right? We had that happening, getting blown open. And then it was all just washed under the carpet as if like it's not a big deal. Now, if we go back to when was the Butler of Buckingham Palace? When was Gary Glitter? Okay. When was Gary Glitter arrested? Was that like 10 years before that? Arrested. 1997, 2002. Okay, so are we seeing a picture here, right? Just a little more than a decade before that was Gary Glitter. When was the Butler of Buckingham Palace arrested for running a child ring? Is that right? Child ring? Is that the right word? So yeah, he was basically having tea parties. That was 2008. So we can see a pattern here, right? 2026, 2016, 2008, 1998. Between 1998 and 2000, the Gary Glitter story. That was blowing open the BBC, right? The BBC were naked. They were caught with their pants down. And then there was allegations that there were other BBC presenters involved and other people involved. Then there was the Buckingham Palace conspiracy, where they were like the Queen's own staff was involved and they were busted doing stuff with children. And there was a whole story that was suppressed about the butler being involved in a bigger thing. Then, you know, after Pizzagate, we now have this. This isn't new. You see, there's nothing new about this. It's the same story. Every decade, the same information resurfaces, because what happens is that the same information gets out, and it's really the same thing. It's just different details, different names. Then it was Gary Glitter's name. Now it's Epstein's name. Then it was Hillary Clinton's name. And why on earth was Mr. Trump's name redacted? So, you know, I think this is part of the theme that we're discussing here. What is Project Bluebeam? You know, this whole story of the blue beam, right? We've got our black mirrors that can look between dimensions, right? Dimensions of space. Entities can engage with us, AI entities, right? Through our black mirror. The moment we activate our black mirror, it starts to beam blue light into our heads, literally into our heads. Once you think about the implications of beaming blue light into the head. Changing our frequency, like you say, Bernardine, you know, and now all of our lights are blue lights, right? This light that I've got, you might notice, is I think that's a 2,700 Kelvin or a 3,000 Kelvin temperature, which is more going towards the yellow. That light is a 4,000 Kelvin, slightly more blue than I should have it. That light up there is a 3,000 Kelvin. 3,000 Kelvin's a good temperature, but most of the light bulbs, if you buy a light bulb, it's going to be 6,000 or 7,000 Kelvin. 6,000 or 7,000 Kelvin is blue. So they want us programming our eyes to blue light. It causes insomnia. Namaste, Vincent. How are you doing? We're talking about your favorite crew of people, the FBI and the CIA and all of those people that cover up for the billionaires. So here's the thing, hey? How you doing, Vince? I hope you're good. You know, I think that what happens is that these three-letter agencies are actually part of a cover screen to cover for the billionaires. And I wonder whether they are having their own internal political strifes. And what happens is when they topple each other's internal regimes, who gets control of this dark brotherhood, then they push each other under the bus. And then they get their people, CIA, FBI, whoever, to release information, right? So that certain people can go under the bus. So that, because it is happening, right? It's happening on a huge scale. Are you guys aware? What is it? Is it 6 million children a year go missing? Is that the official stat? I think. Am I right? 6 million children go missing every year. Or is it 8 million? It's a ridiculous number. And these children are never seen or heard from. 8 million. Okay. So there are 8 million children that go missing every single year. Now, my theory is way darker than what you guys can imagine. All of the sex trafficking is just a front. It's clickbait to keep us all, you know. I'm not saying it's not happening. I'm not saying it's not that there aren't a bunch of totally spiritually retarded individuals that think that they can get away with messing with kids. That is a no-brainer. These black magicians do black spells. They do incantations to their evil beings on the eighth sphere that are supposedly looking out for them and giving them access to powers. And these beings have the most degrading appetites. So they have to feed these beings the energy of youth, and they probably want to harvest the loosh, and they have probably discovered how to make their little concoctions and potions out of the so adrenaline breaks down to form adrenochrome in the body within 1 to 3 minutes. That's how long it takes adrenochrome to form in the physical body. So if they can harm a child and be extracting the adrenochrome and harm the child and extract the adrenochrome, they might have ways of extracting the adrenochrome directly from the gland while the child is alive, while they are messing with the child using all sorts of technology and all sorts of satanic abuse to harvest this stuff that they can use to keep themselves young, while feeding these evil beings that desire this loose energy. I think that is happening, but I don't think that's happening for more than hundreds of thousands of children. And that doesn't answer the question of where are the other 7.5 million children going every year. Sure, there's some degrading people that take children for whatever. So let's knock off 500,000. What happens to the other 7 million children? I think they have secret bases in Alaska, maybe, probably in the South Pole, where you're not allowed to go and film, probably in the North Pole, probably in places where there's war zones. Like, what happened to all the children in the Ukraine conflict? Do you guys remember? All the children were vanishing and nobody could explain it. But these children were taken by official convoys, put onto planes, and then they didn't have the documents. So you guys took so many children. Where do they go? We only can account for what happened to the rest of them. Nobody knows. I think these children are being taken to bases and they are being tested. They are being used. They are being engineered. Think about how they are so quickly developing the AI, right? How they are so quickly moving towards human interaction with technology. Don't you think that requires test subjects? Oh, but they're not allowed to test on humans. What do they use? Monkeys? Really? They're really using monkeys? Or do you think they have secret bases where they are testing on children and using children for genetic manipulation tests, where they need millions and millions of children like white mice? How's that for an idea? How does that sit with you, brother? Does that seem too far-fetched?
No, not at all. I think recently they found lots of underground tunnels like that actually have Starbucks and stuff in them. Like, we know there's underground bases and underground tunnels and stuff like that. It's just, what are they doing there? Also, if we want to keep it dark, McDonald's. There's a lot of McDonald's restaurants. If you look at a map in America, they're everywhere. The amount of meat in McDonald's, there's not enough cows. So what happens to humans when they eat human flesh? Do we start becoming less human? Is that part of the anti-human agenda? Like, that is dark, I get it, I know, but it is certainly a real possibility. I watched a video of Mr. Beast, he's everywhere on Amazon Prime. He's got loads of shows. He's just been talking to, or had a deal with the Rockefellers. He was showing how great Neuralink is. Mr. Beast, like, etymology, numerology, look at the names of people, and the majority of time they tell you what they are or who they are or what they're doing. It's just in the name, Mr. Beast. He's a sociopath, firstly. Very, very, it seems like not human, like much like Elon Musk. I think that these guys have had their soul or their identity extracted, much like US presidents have, and something else enters them. And I think that, well, where I was going is, I watched a video of Mr. Beast sitting around a table with some people, and I think, God, sorry. He was sitting around a table with some people in this video, and he was cutting a steak. I think it was like a £40,000 steak, and somebody was, either him or someone else, can't remember, was like, "Oh, it's almost as soft as a baby," or "It's not as nice as a baby," or something. You know, just laughing and joking about it. But really, with this stuff that's come out now, and then there's actually been in the Epstein files mentions of babies and eating them and stuff. What I can't personally comprehend is why aren't people more angry about it? Like, this stuff can't just be swept under the carpet. I think they've done this just before April, when people file their tax returns, to test, to see what they can get away with, to see if people will still be willing to pay these satanic pedophiles, these billionaires, to still give them their energy, their money. And I think it's a test. And also on February the 20th is the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, 0 degrees Aries. So very fresh, new energy. And that's building energy. That's energy for building. And I think that they're going to start drip feeding stuff now up until then to see what they can get away with. And then, just after the fire horse, they're going to start acting and building, bringing in their new old order, because people still, that, like, you have woke, so you have woke, awake, and aware. Some people are woke, some people are awake, and some people are aware, but not enough. No, sorry. Yeah, not enough people are aware. People are awake, but they're still sleepwalking. They see this information, they share it, they carry on scrolling. They're like, oh yeah, we know this stuff's going on. Oh yeah, COVID, yeah, not falling for that again. Oh, you know. But really, I think what this 0 degrees of Aries, I think, represents is action. And I think that we need to be taking action as people, as humans, against this anti-human agenda. And it goes deep, because the 8th sphere is 8 Sophia, and it's our wisdom, it's our imagination, it's our childlike wonder, and it's literally our children which are being taken, extracted, and this is to make way for the artificial, because while people still have this wisdom, imagination, this other realm can't come in here, because we're dreamers, we're creators. And I think that they have to start making things fake first. You know, they've done it for a while with with like advertising and stuff, getting people to hate their bodies, hate themselves, whatever, eating loads of food, like fattening themselves up. Now they give us a vaccine for that, and it's getting to the point where people can't distinguish what's real and what's not. And I think that when there's the point of us not knowing what's real, that's when this other sort of energy can really come into this world. But as long as we have the understanding that we are powerful creators, and we can, like, I'll use the term prison planet, because that certainly is a possibility, but also it's a possibility that's not, and that's a school, and that is becoming a prison. And that if we think it's a prison, and that if we start rejecting the world, rejecting the matter, the mother, because of all these obscene things that are happening, if we just want to leave, transcend, go to 5D or whatever, or ascend and stuff, rather than bringing these higher dimensional realities and planes of existence here into this realm, I think that's what is key. Not detaching from reality, but revealing the darkness, calling it out for what it is, bringing our potential into this realm, because this realm could be amazing. But it's been made, like, I think that what's going on is that they're trying to make this reality so bad that people want to go into their fake metaverse, their fake reality. Please just hook me up to the machine, because I can't bear this world. I think that's where it's slowly going, because a lot of people who will say, be awake, will see this and be like, oh, it's so bad, this world is full of satanic pedos and stuff like that. But they're the 1%. We're the 99%. Our dormant DNA, our potential is 99%, 95%. Our subconscious is the 99%. That is our core. And as soon as we start bringing that out, which I can see that people are starting to bring that out, things will start shifting. But it's a dark time we're in at the moment. People call it the little season, and I can understand that because of architecture, music, this emergence of this artificial. But I think that anytime the script can flip, and we are the architects. There's not just a one being who controls all. That's what they want you to think. We are all the architects, and we can all shift this, but this stuff needs to be called out first. Like, it needs to be shared. We need to name them. We need to start talking about it like it's normal, like a few of us have been. Like, it's just common knowledge to most of us, but a lot of people still don't know, and a lot of people still don't know. So people need to carry on sharing, because I see so many people saying, why are they releasing these? Why are they sharing all this information? It's just to bring our frequency down and stuff. Really, what it should do is it should bring our frequency up and ignite the flame, and there should be a war cry. Because if this isn't an act of war, I don't know what is. I mean, all the horrific shit happening in the world, in Ukraine, in Palestine, all around the world, in Africa, all around the world, this has been normalized. They're trying to normalize children dying, people. They're trying to normalize this energy. And at the same time, they're drip feeding technology so that this technology numbs the pain, because everyone's in pain. And this blue light extracts our essence, and it makes us trance humans. So we're just in a trance, sleepwalking. So blue beam is this project fear, and they're projecting fear at the moment. Every time there's a new frequency, there's a fear frequency in Fable. So 1983, there was 1G released with the first commercial cell phone, and that year there were three nuclear scares as well. And it was supposed to be like the Soviets attacking America, and it turns out that wasn't true. So 1983 equals the number 3, because 3 is a magic number, and these people use it a lot. There's a lot of 2001 is another number 3, where there was 3G released, and you have the fear of terrorism, you have the fable of it was Islam straight away, and you have the frequency of 3G. 2019, another 3. You have the fear of a virus, you have the frequency of 5G, and you have the fable of, oh, it came from a bat to a human, it was China, it was this. There's always a made up story, which is this side or that side. It's always the other one. It's not this or that. It's always the third story. But yeah, my point is that there seems to be something feeding off of our energy, because I've wondered for a long time, why do they want us hooked onto screens? Is it just distract us from the world, or like, why is there a blue light? Why do we feel drained? Where is that energy going? Is it going somewhere? Where's it going to? Is it going to another entity? And what I've understood now from my research is that they're extracting data, but at the same time as extracting the physical data of our names, age, where we are, they're literally extracting our essence. Because if you're on screens for long enough, you will just be hypnotized. And I think that's the end game, to just like have us with Apple AirPods headphones, these VR headsets, and a mask. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. And then we'll be good little test subjects.
I think you've dropped a lot of really good bombs there. Positive truth bombs, shall I say. And I think there is so much that's being pumped out by the TikTok community. I think all of these people that mean well, I saw this little girl having a freak out, like, oh my gosh, do you know that this is happening, right? They sensationalize it, right? And they sensationalize it in the way that one reacts when one is young. You're a father. I'm a father. We take this from a different perspective, right? Like, I'm thinking, like, I need to sharpen my katana. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's when you got skin in the game, like, you imagine anyone trying to mess with your kids. Like, I'm not a violent person, but that's one way to turn me into one. Anybody, like the most gentlest person that wouldn't hurt a fly, mess with their kids. And I think that they take the focus off of what's really important here, is the fact that the laws with regards to our children are becoming more and more invasive. Who was it that was telling me? Soraya. Bless Soraya. Do you guys remember? She used to be on the round table. I love Soraya. She's really cool. Maybe we'll get on the round table sometime. She's a single mom now. She lost her late husband, rest in peace, and some time ago. And so she's, her kids need her. So that's where she's been, which is as it should be, right? And anyway, she was telling me in a group chat the other day that in the Netherlands, they're not even allowed to homeschool. It's banned, just about, all but banned. And that really bit, and they're trying to regulate these things in South Africa now. They're trying to set new laws up to make it more difficult for you to homeschool your children, and you got to go to the government to get permission, and they got to come to your home, and they've got to get involved with your kids, right? This is the goal, isn't it? They want to get as involved with our children as they can through the schools. If they don't have your children in the school, they want to build a relationship with your kids. They want us to allow strangers to build relationships with our children. People we don't know, right? I mean, I'm not saying that teachers are necessarily bad, but what I will tell you is this, right? I know somebody who was woman handled in a gang setting when she was a young teenager in her school by 2 boarding house teachers. I know in my high school that there were things happening between teachers and boys in an all-boys school. I know that in my junior school, there was one big story with one of the teachers, a lady, touching children inappropriately. And I know that there was one guy that was sacked after I kept making trouble. I kept telling all the little girls to go and tell their parents that he forces you to sit in his lap because there's something weird. And he used to make me sit in the back in the corner, and he used to victimize me. And I used to say, I'm watching you with those little girls. And the little girls used to sit in his lap, and they'd look scared. And I'd stand up in the back of the class and I'd say, you don't have to sit in his lap. He's not your mother. He's not your father. This is really weird. And none of the other kids understood it because they were all like 9, 10 years old. And I was like, no. My dad taught me about this stuff. You don't sit on some strange person's lap, especially not a little girl, And so my point is, in my junior school, there were 2. In my high school, there was one situation with a female teacher that had a sexual affair with one of the students. I don't know what you call that. He was 15. He loved it. Anyway, then there was the boarding school and the boarding house. Things were happening. This is just me. I'm just one person, right? Plus someone else I know, she was forced by 2 women to do things, to have a naked adventure when she was like 15 in the boarding house, different place. So if just me, little old me, how many of you have been in situations where this was happening and maybe you didn't even know it, right? I was particularly perceptive as a teen. I watched those teachers. I knew what was up. I knew which teachers were gay. and which teachers like had like weird relationships with the boys. And I used to say, like, there's something wrong with this dude. I don't like how friendly he is. Just don't like how friendly he is. Like, better not get too friendly with me, because he'll see how that friendliness turns back on him really fast. But my point is, I think it's more widespread than we recognize and realize. And so the schools are not really safe places on a personal level for our children. And then I haven't even broached the topic of the way that they want to brainwash our kids into believing that science is God, right? I was having a conversation in a lucid dreaming group, and big love to everybody in the lucid dreaming group. One of the other admins, somebody was asking me about an experience there. And it sort of taps into this. I didn't go into too much detail, but they were like basically noticing how their heart was getting like really fast beating, and they were feeling like nervousness and pressure building up and weird sensations. And instead of going into a lucid dreaming experience like they were trying to, they ended up being forced back into wakefulness, feeling very energized and awake. And I was like, actually, you're not going into lucid dreaming. You're about to leave your body and go into the etheric plane. And that pressure you feel and that fast thumping is not your heart beating, but that's vibrations you're feeling on your heart center. And the only reason it feels like it's beating fast is because your time dilation is being decompressed. So you're experiencing that vibration that's really fast as duk, 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 duk in your heart, when actually that's just slow resonant vibrations of that particular frequency related to the physical body and the sensation of touch that you're feeling. And I was pointing out to them that, like, you know, if you carry on doing this, you might find yourself in sleep paralysis. And if you find yourself in sleep paralysis, then don't try to walk or move your body. Project your thoughts. Imagine what's on the other side of that wall, right? Imagine like what's on the other side of that wall and see if you pop through the wall, you know, and then see where you can imagine, and that's where you go. Like, focus your mind, like my bathroom, bam, you're in your bathroom, you know, and learn to move around with your thoughts. And I was explaining to this person that, like, you want to be careful, you know, you don't want to overdo this because people think lucid dreaming is like a fun thing to do, and it is, can be. But and then one of the other guys in the group said to me, yeah, but there's no verifiable proof and all of this scientific jargon. And I had to point out, like, you know, don't you understand how the seance works, right? They told us that ether. Do you know one of the reasons that they were able to disprove ether? First, there was the Keely guy that was disproving ether in the late 1800s, right? And this has got to do with education and repatterning of our mind and limiting the paradigm of our physical experience of reality as not being multidimensional beings, but being stuck in a physical paradigm, a trap, if you will. Big Gaz, how's it going? Namaste. How are you rolling, man? Been a while. I hope you're well. You got your account back. Great, man. And yeah, man, big love, Astara. Namaste. I hope you're thriving. Hope you're smiling. Hope you're all good. So anyway, Keely, the way that they proved that ether wasn't real, big love, man, was that it was stationary. That was Keely's big part of his argument. I don't know if you know this, right? That ether isn't real because it's stationary, right? And they were expecting it to be a wind. So they used the fact that the earth must be turning as basis for the fact of the evidence that if the ether was what we say it was, there should be drag upon the earth's turning. But we just took that as an accepted fact, right? And so they couldn't distinguish that there was any drag and movement on the ether, so it can't be real. But if you look at quantum fields, right? Quantum fields are static. They're not moving. They're vibrating. They're a high pulse of energy. They have waves forms in the quantum field, the same as the ether was considered to be waveforms, and that the light would move along the waveforms of the ether. That's how the light was able to move without resistance, which is exactly how the light's able to translocate through the quantum field, right? If you look at what quantum fields are and the way that they work and what ether is and the way that it works, it's the same thing. So they managed to confuse us that ether didn't exist. Now they've given it back to us with big fancy words that you won't understand unless you're in the little boys seance club. So that they can control how we perceive. Now, what this means is that light is moving on a subquantum level, right? And so what is this blue light that we're talking about, right? This blue light is on a subquantum level. It's not just what we see affecting our visible brain. It's on a subquantum level, able to affect vibrational frequencies and energies in a way that we can't really easily comprehend, because it's not moving through just past matter like conventionally. It's moving on the quantum field. And what this means is that we have other parts of us. The part that we see as a physical part is here, but this physical part has subquantum componentry. Is that a word? Componentry? And that subquantum part of ourselves is being affected by that blue light. So when we start to look at like the implications of blue light, I think we've only scratched the tip of the surface of the iceberg. And talking about that space, talking about the shape of the earth, is I don't even know what shape the earth is. What are your thoughts on all of these propagandas that have been released, and how much of them are true and how much of them are just confusion, smoke screens? What are your thoughts?
Well, my view on this realm is I don't think it's either round or flat. Like I was saying earlier, it's always the third way. Always. There's with the middle way. With what happened in 2020, they said it came from a bat to a human, and then they were like, oh no, wait, actually, what the real story is, guys, is that it came from a lab, and everyone's like, oh, there we go, the real story. Thank you. It's like the World Military Games were held in Wuhan. Me and Esme were watching a TV series called The Last Man on Earth. Quite a funny show. That came out 2015. There was a deadly worldwide virus. That's why he was the last man on Earth. And then on a tombstone, it said 2019. And then he's talking about how this virus came from a bat to a human. So they were already seeding this story years before, predictive programming. So when it does happen, you forget the series, but the fear in the subconscious, that comes out, and then you're played like a little puppet. Oh no! Oh, it's there's something scary is happening. I'm going to be the last man on Earth. But anyway, it didn't come from bat to human. Didn't come from a lab. There was the World Military Games held in Wuhan in 2019, and that's where the first 5G tower was. They were testing out technology, like lots of the symptoms people had, many weird symptoms that affected everybody differently. That wouldn't happen. We're all different, but it was like radiation sickness, radiation poison. There was some kind of radiation, and I don't think it was even these towers. Maybe there were parts to play. I think it was chemtrails and high altitude weather manipulation. Like they were messing with our frequency, like they always do when there's this fear. But back to Bluebeam, talking about 2020, the color for the year of 2020 was blue. If you look up, I can't remember what it's called. It's a place, it's like the color for the year. 2020 was blue. The frequency of blue is 6.66. All of these companies, World Economic Forum, like corporation stuff, CERN, Google Chrome, they have a 666 in them. which is interesting. There's a frequency of blue. This is all part of blue beam, like which like we were talking earlier about. It's like blue is to be low, or to like to be low, or to like bellow. Like to bellow is to shout. It's a, you know, it's at like that kind of frequency, and to be low as well. And a beam is a frequency. So this blue beam is a fear frequency, which has happened over time, perhaps before 1983, but 1983 was a key year for this. And if I'll just read out a couple of the, I think I was like four or so points about Project Bluebeam, how to bring in a one world government. Because in World War One, when they started getting rid of all of the old world buildings, the churches, stuff like that, the League of Nations was created. And then after World War II, the United Nations was created. And then World War III, that will be the new world order, one world government. But to do that, they have to destroy the family unit. So in 1950, there was the atomic bomb, the nuclear bomb, which around the same time the nuclear bomb went off, the nuclear family was dissolving, which is interesting. And then there was lots of UFO sightings as well. And then in 2020, destroy national identity, create a cult-like behavior, a hive mind. 2020, there was a lot of cult-like behavior, public health, this sort of this Ahrimanic energy of we, this collective we, you know, the extraction of the identity, the core soul, if you like. You know, Steiner spoke about that. And then now, eroding religion to create a one world religion. You detach people from God. And in 2020, when people were getting brain fog, it was like the prefrontal cortex is here at the front, the prefrontal lobe, and magnetism can basically affect this. And in 2015, there were experiments done, and basically they were able to weaken people's faith in God by magnetism, by magnets to the brain. People lost faith in the afterlife and didn't believe in God. And then in 2020, people were getting the same symptoms these people had via this magnetism, which was brain fog, which affects your ability to think critically. So, and then now we have all of these, this seems to be like all these people being Christian, but it's not. It's like Peter Thiel had a meeting, or like behind closed doors, about what is the Antichrist. I can tell you what the Antichrist is. The Antichrist is the one that claims to be Christ. That's what I think it is. The one that claims to be Christ, the one that claims to be the savior. And what I think happening is, because the fourth point of this blue beam is creating a giant space show, which will be basically the I think, was it in Greece or somewhere, and back in the day they was it Deus Ex Machina, the God in the Machine, when they had plays to sort of they would have this thing where it'd be like this thing which explains everything that was happening in the play, this God in the machine kind of thing, Deus Ex Machina. And that's going to be the final part, which I think would be 2028, where they've said a comet's going to be coming. You know, they'll have that fear of, this world's ending, it's the rapture with 6G and this holographic technology. But what I think will happen is that there has to be a savior to bring in this new religion. And I think that savior will be Elon Musk. Elon Musk is going to be like Iron Man. And I think people, unless people wake the fuck up, people are going to suck it up. They're trying to bring on the end times by angering Mother Earth. They're trying to bring on the end times by making us, the people, want it to be the end. So many people online are like, oh, I wish, oh, get me out of here already. I wish it was the end of the world and stuff. And that's what they're trying to do, because they won't just cause a reset. They want us to want there to be a reset. And I think that this reset needs to come from us. We need to want there to be a reset, but that's created by us. We need to have the foresight to be like, this is the sort of world we want to live in. Because we know the sort of world they want to bring in here. It's this artificial blue light, sterile, kind of everything programmable, trackable, traceable. You know, it's this order. So first they create the chaos. And I was always told in school that I was, I had ADHD, like a disorder, which I think that there needs to be more disorder, but we need to be the ones creating the disorder, because right now it's the so-called elites creating this chaos so that they can bring in their new world order. But we need to be creating disorder, you know, stop paying taxes, stop like buying into all of this shit they're giving us. And then out of that, we can start sort of, you know, start building the world we want to, because for such a long time the elites have been building the world that they want. And as we go to digital currency, digital ID and stuff like that, there's going to be new ways of us trading and selling and bartering, and more and more people are going to be homeschooling. I don't think in some places, like you say, people aren't allowed to homeschool, but really there's the 99% of people, when they sort of do start emerging from their little cocoon, their pod, their shell, and start emerging and being like, okay, and seeing what's really going on and seeing what's done to their children on a subtle level, even if it's just sitting down in the classroom all day under a bright LED lighting. And you know, that's not ideal. That's not optimal conditions for growth of a child's soul. So more and more people start realizing, the more and more people will start homeschooling, the more and more people are going to be like, look, do you know what? We don't want that digital currency. We don't need it, because we've got skills that we can use to trade and sell and stuff. So yeah.
People think I'm crazy when I say I don't have any digital currency. They go, but why not? I'm like, dude, like, if I'd wanted it, I would have bought it in 2008 when I knew Bitcoin was going to make money. And I had this argument with my ex-wife. We were disagreeing, and I said to her, well, if you want to, you can take money and buy it. I just don't want to be a part of it. And I'm so glad I didn't. People don't know that just to run Bitcoin, not all the digital currency, just Bitcoin, go into your city and look at all of the street lighting at night, all of the roads, all of the highways, all of the towns, all of the villages. Namaste, Tomru. How are you doing? I hope you're good. Hope you're well. Everything in your whole city. Then look at every town, village, and city in your country. All of that lighting, right? Then take every country on your continent. All of that lighting. Then take all of the continents in the world, and all of that electricity doesn't equal the electricity being used for Bitcoin. How's that for something to think about? And then that's just Bitcoin. Let's get going on the AI, ladies and gentlemen. Those big monster computer buildings, they use a lot of power. Like, the amount of power being wasted on AI and Bitcoin is ridiculous. Oh, and then again, you need a lot of AI to manage the Bitcoin, right? Right. So they work like hand in hand. So we're looking at just the Bitcoin farming. We haven't even looked at how much of the AI is being used for Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin uses more than we can imagine on the books, but you have to compound the two, AI and Bitcoin. And one of those buildings, one of those monster buildings, can use the same amount of electricity as a small city. And there are bigger ones being constructed that will use more electricity than a small city. Possibly the electricity of super cities will be used, right? In some of the constructions that they are working on now, the even bigger ones. And there are thousands of these buildings being built around the world. So we're now wasting the power to power like 500 more small cities, maybe around the world, right? And all of the street lighting around the world. Could you imagine what we could use that electricity for, right? Well, we could go to a place where they don't have food because they're having droughts. And we could build an indoor farm where you can control and recycle the water, right? And they could be growing food indoors. So what is a drought outside? We'll build a big, massive indoor structure. We will just power it because we've got the electricity. We're using it on Bitcoin anyway. We may as well use it to grow food. Why are people going hungry so that others can trade Bitcoin? Oh, and it gets better. Then you've got pirates. Yeah, there are people that are selling Bitcoin like it's the next Messiah. Yeah. Pirates. Ooh, it sounds cool, doesn't it? It's like Pirates of the Caribbean, pirate chain. Ooh, it sounds exciting and it's like novel and be a part of the pirate chain. Oh, but really what's going on here? Yeah. They want us off cash. They want us in their digital system. I was just looking up something else when you were talking, by the way. I was just responding to what you were saying, and that's like really on point. And, you know, I can get lost in like numbers. I love numbers and etymology. But I was looking at the frequencies of DNA, right? And I was trying to figure out so blue light is resonating at about between 600 and 750 terahertz frequency. Yeah? Between 600 and 750 terahertz. That's the resonant frequency. Now, the human body, I believe, has got DNA that's vibrating up until the 20 terahertz. I'm wondering whether there is 100. I can't find any information about going up as far as 675 terahertz. But it's interesting what they do mention about how the frequencies start doing damage. So specific DNA structure that vibrates at a high frequency range, notably around the 44 terahertz, is the purine-based connection of weak hydrogen bonds in a DNA duplex. Right. So that's 44 terahertz. That's quite interesting. And then they're talking about the general DNA vibration modes often occur in the lower between 0.1 to 10 terahertz range. And that's related to collective base pair shearing and backbone vibrations, right? This specific higher frequency resonance is associated with the accelerated unwinding process of 6 base pair DNA duplexes, right? It sounds very wow. All we need to know is that 44 terahertz is bloody fast. Now, if we've got this this blue light resonating at 600 to 750 terahertz, right? That means 650 to so you got to have the number 650, and then you got to have 12 zeros behind it, right? So 650 with 12 zeros, and that's how fast this thing's vibrating. Imagine every second. That's a lot of, that's why it hurts. That's why it hurts so much, you know, all the technology. And so what is that doing to our DNA? Can you use light to reprogram DNA? Could that be what blue light, the whole, like the deeper, more esoteric, occult side of Project Bluebeam is really about? Because if your DNA is vibrating at 44 terahertz, and some of it, if you can get fast terahertz, 650 terahertz, and then you can set up standing waves at different intervals of frequency, pulse rates, right? then you should be able to create standing waves at just the right frequency pulse to disrupt particular proteins in the body. No? And these blue light diodes, they come with a driver, right? And that driver sets up particular pulse cycles, right? So I don't know, like, I think there's a lot of research that we need that we can't get because we don't have the toys, right? The toys are owned by like Toys R Us, the billionaire's little social club. And they probably have good giggles when they have their little party at Davos, when they have their Davos party celebrating how they've got us, we got them now. We got them. They're like ants scattering. We got them, laughing at how they are going to, the next harvest of our children or whatever they've got planned for us. But I think like there's a lot more to look at. And you've done a lot of research into the film Stranger Things, haven't you? And opening dimensional portals using blue light that's vibrating at 650 terahertz. What is the frequency of matter? I don't know. That's an interesting thought, huh? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I've got a lot of thoughts about what you said there. I'm just going to go through a list of things just quickly that I've been writing down because I looked into LED lighting as you were talking, and in the UK in 2012 there was 1% of the UK had LED lighting. In 2025, 95% of the lighting is LED. So since 2012, there's been a huge shift to have LED lighting everywhere, which actually have sensors in them, and in some cases cameras. And I think that what's happening is that like all of this LED lighting, blue light, which has a really fast flicker rate as well and gives many people headaches, it stops the potential. Like if with incandescent light, which is the red spectrum, it's more of a calmer like wave, and I think that when there's this flickering, it messes with how we interface with matter and with reality. When it's flickering really fast, it kind of creates a jitter so that it kind of stops us bringing in the potential. It kind of collapses a wave. And with there being sensors and cameras on a lot of LED lighting, when something's observed, it collapses it into matter because we're in a wave. Everything is a wave, like a field. And there's only like 1%, which is really matter. And what I think what is really happening with all of this LED lighting is that they're trying to stop us creating the reality we want to with our imaginations. And also blue light dehydrates you as well. It dehydrates the plasma, which coats our blood cells and also our DNA. So because you know how much I love water, that I think that they're trying to dehydrate us spiritually. They're trying to dry us out. They're trying to extract this water, which is dreaming. Water is dreaming. It's everywhere. And like when we're dreaming, we go up beyond the firmament, beyond the water barrier into the astral, and the water is to do with boundaries and stuff. But I think that they're trying to get to this water layer, and I think that's how they get into our DNA. And I think with lucid dreaming as well, I didn't mention earlier that is it connected to the gut, lucid dreaming? Because this ties in, is it not?
Everything is connected to the gut when it comes to the brain. Everything. Okay. So wired in, it's unbelievable. So yes.
So one of Billie Eilish's songs off her album released in 2019, which coincided with the pandemic. It's called "When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go?" And a couple of her songs are very telling. One of them is "My V is for Vendetta. I thought I'd feel better, but now I have a bellyache." I was thinking, well, what is the V? Is the V the Typhonian Order hand signal, or is it the vaccine? Because there's a music video of her being injected by black goo. And one of her songs, she's talking about selling her soul and stuff, and how, like, anyway, I can go through that sometime. But why I mentioned lucid dreaming in the gut is because since Esme had, like, whatever COVID was a year ago or whatever, she hasn't been able to lucid dream, and it affected her gut, her stomach. And I think that Chris has had the same thing as well with this gut. And I think that it goes deep, because when you're born, there's trauma via C-section and stuff, and they this Project Fear, Project Bluebeam, seems to be a guilt trip with climate change, this anti-human agenda. We're the problem. One of Billie Eilish's songs, the last lyrics go, maybe I'm the problem, and she gets the whole crowd singing it and puts it on her album, and then she casts that spell, maybe I'm the problem. So people feel this guilt, which affects your stomach, your gut biome. And I was just wondering if there's a correlation between that and the astral, because if we're not able to lucid dream or connect there, like, I think this is what's going on. This kind of, if I was to sum it up in a sentence, they're trying to stop us having any other dream than their dream. It's like one ring to rule them all, one reality to rule them all. Like, this is how reality is, and it's bad and negative and this, rather than the potential of other realities, which we tap into when we're dreaming, but when we're awake with our imagination. And if you're lucid dreaming, which I don't think I've ever lucid dreamed. I don't remember my dreams often, and when I have, they've been, I've remembered a few which have been quite profound, and I'm pretty sure that we do a lot of work in the astral while we're asleep. And if we're not able, like in the spiritual realms, but if we're not able to be aware of that, that kind of takes a bit of the power away, I guess. So my point is that all of this blue beam, LED lighting, the extraction of water, bottling water, putting it under LED lighting, which literally just makes it dead water, adding fluoride to our water, not being able to drink fresh spring water on the streets. Do you know, in my town here, there's 2 or 3 war memorials, which would have been water points. And it's interesting, it's water, because it's war and then tor, the energy of war. And what they've done is, rather than having us this fresh drinking water available from the ground, they've put war memorials on it. So that energy is going into the water. And to kind of simplify all of this stuff for me, like destroying our identity, the family unit, eroding religion and stuff, for me personally, it all comes down to water and our understanding of water. And all of this stuff that's being done is to dehydrate us, because around our DNA we have 4-phase water, easy water, which is plasma water, which is really what hydrates us. And water is you have the water, and DNA is memory. If you have mem and ori, water and light, and to get the light, they need to extract the water, because water carries light. Water carries information, and I think that that is the core of us. Like even recently in the UK, I think last year they banned it, but there was a water company called Water is Death or something like that. What was it called? Water is Death. Water is Death. Anyway, something like that. You get the gist. But if anyone knows the work of Nemoto and how water picks up on energies, frequencies, vibration, that this kind of frequency that's being put out there, it's messing with the waters, which is the collective dream that we're all having. And then there's layers, and then there's layers to wake up from this collective dream, and they kind of want us all in their dream, so just like sleepwalking through life and people think they're awake, but it's about layers and then getting through the density of the water. Yeah, but well, you asked me about stranger things, so yeah, there's so many movies and series which tell a similar story. Last night I watched Allegiant, which is the third in the Divergent movie series. Like, so I'd watched that film a few years ago, but I rewatched it last night. And what it is they have the city of Chicago, which has a wall around it. So if you want to think of like the ice wall, or there being land beyond this, which I didn't get to earlier when you asked me about the Earth, but there's 100% more land than this because they're trying to confine us. Now it's 15-minute cities. Before, we would have been able to travel like vast distances past these planes we know as just what Earth is now. But in this film, what they do is they have this what's it called, they have this city which is an experiment where they have different factions, and if you're divergent, you don't fit into any of them, and then you're a problem because you have to fit into one. And there are these people beyond the wall who are running this experiment, who take children from the outskirts and they gaslight them maybe, but they put gas on them, and it wipes their memory. They have no memory. And then what they do is they put these children in the city, and it's all about creating the perfect human who's 100% perfect, and all the rest are just obsolete. And there's a TV series called Silo, which staircase is like a DNA, and the gist of that is, spoiler alert, end of the series, they're going to release a gas because people are starting to become too aware, and the people on the bottom of the structure are starting to come to the top because they separate everyone onto levels, and people are starting to become aware and climb up the levels. They're starting to activate their DNA, so they gas them. And this is what's happening to people. People are being gaslit to think that we have no power. And then perhaps this is what this Epstein files is, to think, oh, we're powerless, they're just doing all of this stuff. But it's with alchemy as well. With alchemy, like to extract the essence of a plant, you use gas, and we're the plant, and to extract our essence or our Christos, they gaslight us. And with Stranger Things, there's another layer of reality. There's another reality or realm that wants to come into this realm, much like the Eighth Sphere. And the main character is called Vecna, not the main one, but the dude who's taking these children and basically feeding off them is called Vecna, which is an anagram of Vance. And JD Vance was put into power by Peter Thiel, the reptile, the one who's openly said he takes adrenochrome. He's not on the list. JD Vance isn't on the list, but he will be there in a few months or whatever. But when I was mentioning earlier about mainly like US presidents and stuff seem to like have dementia and not really know what they're doing, it's because they have another being inside them. I 100% believe that. Like The Simpsons show it with those Kang and whatever, those two aliens, when the presidents get unmasked, and it's just so telling that what they're trying to do on a mass scale is extract the soul so that other beings in the astral can enter this human vessel. And I think that they've managed to do it, but they have to do it via a very methodical process, which the CIA have been doing experiments with blue light to do with MK Ultra, Project Montauk, Mockingbird, other ones. And you do it with blue light, trauma. You have to split the person's identity so they don't know who they are. And that's the third temple. You got to split the left, right, and then something else can come into the being. And with Stranger Things, the people who made it wanted it to be called Project Montauk, which was about this stuff that's been done to children, but Netflix wouldn't let them. So it's called Stranger Things. But that TV series is so telling about how there are these beings or people that feed off the subconscious of children. And there's links to CERN there as well, opening up portals. They don't know what's coming in, what's going out. Like, the more and more we look into stuff, the truth is actually stranger than fiction. All of these films, novels, we think that they're just stories, they're just made up, but they seem to be based on truth. So yeah.
You know, like you're saying, that they just keep throwing tidbits at us of what they're doing, and symbolically as well as literally. I don't even think they're just literally gassing us. I think they are physically actually gassing our brains, literally. With all of the nonsense that we have to put up with, right? This CO2 that we keep hearing about, right? All the methane, everything that's going on, and they sell it to us as like it's global warming or climate change. But I think there's something else going on. Yeah. And I think the reason they've got us burning fossil fuels is because they're literally gassing our brains. They got us living in urban centers where we are breathing in monoxide fumes just as like a norm. And it's like slowly poisoning us, right? So I think there's a lot to that. There's a lot to what you're saying, and the gaslighting. I think they're gassing our minds, they're gaslighting our brains, they're gassing our bodies. I was looking at something quite interesting, and you mentioned your partner Esme, and that there've been other people that have told you the same thing. And I did a little bit of looking around. I was digging into the frequencies in the ground, and you know what it is that I saw when I found about the craziness that we have to live in within our bounds. Basically, they are releasing 6G, right? I hope you guys are all sitting down. Because the 6G, as far as I can determine, is going to be between the frequencies of 6 gigahertz and 10 terahertz range. That means everything from 6 gigahertz all the way up to 10 terahertz. Remember 10 terahertz? That is 1 with 13 zeros, right?
So
many pulses.
6.66 G is the frequency of 6.66 is the frequency of blue. 6G, the color is cyan, or teal. So it's teal, which is like a kind of aqua color. That's the color of SIPs. Because if you look at all of the colors, they're very interesting. And obviously you have Peter Thiel, who's funding all of this stuff. Peter being father of 6G. Just saying, you know.
You know, where do you get the frequencies that you mentioned?
So let me just check. So if you search the frequency of blue,
Yeah. Isn't that 600 to 750 terahertz?
Yes, I've got it up on my screen here.
Because it's to the 14, 6 to 7.5 to the power 14,
Yeah,
right?
cyan is 600 to 620. Blue is 620
Yeah.
to 670.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. And green, so yeah, red would be 400. And then orange, yellow,
Yeah.
green was about 530.
Yeah.
No, green was 500. So 5G green.
Well, the 5G at the moment, the infrastructure has not reached its full potential. At the moment, our 5G is putting out, as far as I can detect, at the moment, our 5G is putting out 0.6 to 71 gigahertz, right? So that's billions, not trillions. Is gigahertz millions or billions? Is gigahertz million or billion? I don't know. These numbers are just ridiculous, man. I can't keep up with them. So a gigahertz is a billion. Okay. So basically, at the moment, we are getting between half a billion and 71 billion pulses per second of frequency in the 5G. But they are going to move that up with the next load between the future planning, which will be 0.1 terahertz, all the way up to 10 terahertz. That's the 6G. So, you know, and that will be up to 1 terabyte per second. Can you believe that? You see, that seems like a DNA reader to me. What do you think? How many terabytes of information do you think we carry in our DNA?
All of it. I personally think that all of the information ever is in our DNA. There's no like, it might be an insane number, but all of the information, our connection to source is in our DNA. We have all of the information of everything right inside us. This
So
is the spark of Sophia. That's what the eighth sphere is: eating Sophia, eating our wisdom, eating our spark, taking our light. That's what the eighth sphere is. Oh, what's going on? Oh, we're back.
So here's what they say, right? The haploid human genome is approximately 0.75 gigabytes to 1.5 gigabytes, right, of information that is basically our DNA code. Now, if they are able to be downloading, and I'm guessing uploading as well, a terahertz, right? A terahertz is 1,000, is a billion. That means they'll be able to be handling a billion people in one field. Does that make sense? Because you'll be able to be carrying information of a billion people. So you would need to have different zones where you could have one system that manages so many people. If they make it faster, they'll be able to handle like more. If they double the speed, they'll be able to handle 2. So are they going to try and upgrade to get it to the point where they can handle 10 billion people on a single, right? On a single broadband, whatever, and be able to be scanning our DNA every second, or have the capacity to be able to scan our DNA every second? And if they have that capacity to scan our DNA, will they be able to change our DNA through the frequencies? This is food for thought. Because if you can get your frequencies, right, your system to pitch in the harmonics of the DNA, we know quantum computing carries information in electromagnetic fields, right? So if they can have the system working with high efficiency, that it's actually becoming a quantum field computing system around our bodies, being able to process our data, program our data, and download our data, could that be really what we're looking at here? And could blue light be the ultimate form of integrating the system? If that makes sense. Like, if they can turn that blue light intensity and vibration up, like we've been hearing about people saying that they can use light to carry internet now, right? It's new technology. You're not going to need broadband. You'll just need blue light in your house, and that will carry your broadband. It will scan your DNA. It'll upload your DNA. Who knows? You know? Because it seems to me that the 8th sphere has a goal that those fallen monkeys, I call them fallen monkeys. We're the monkeys, but they're the ones who've fallen out of the tree, right? Somehow we've like managed to maintain some essence of decency, but those like crazy ones, they like delinquently want to touch children and do all sorts of crazy nonsense that's just, you know, unfathomable to any human being, really, which shows their depravity. They must be sort of working for a group, a cabal of beings that aren't human, that want to get us transhumanized. And the transhumanization program is going to have different elements of it. It's going to have integrated hardware, integrated software, and that integrated hardware and software will be manipulated and controlled by light, one imagines, right? Because the internet of the future will be carried by light. So that blue light will be invasively brought into our bodies and being able to manipulate our body in ways that we can't imagine. And here's where it gets interesting, though, right? Our body's emitting its own light.
Yeah. So smart dust is powered by ambient light. And I checked. Oh god, my throat's really annoying. Sorry about this, guys. So I checked, is our aura ambient light? And it is. So smart dust can be powered by us. And will that have an effect on our energy? Like, you know, so we create reality by our perception of where our attention goes. That's where our energy flows, where our attention is. We create like reality through our perception of that. So with this kind of false layer, this false matrix grid they're trying to build, we would basically be building reality around us via our aura, but it would be these two-dimensional atoms, which would be powered by our aura, by our DNA. But if our DNA is being able to be programmed by these other beings, they'll be able to render reality around us through us. This is like another step from the subconscious. So we have subconscious programming through the TV and phones and music and stuff like that. But this is like a whole nother level of manipulation. Like our DNA, our core, basically powering the smart dust via our perception. Because I think that, yeah, I don't know, man. I think this realm's gonna start getting just weirder and weirder. There's some crazy shit. They're trying to bring out I think this year they want Sam Altman and somebody from Apple. So Sam Altman would be Samael, or backwards it would be Mass Altman. So altering man. That's what this dude is trying to do. He's trying to alter man, and they want to bring out a screenless phone. So this will be a thing that you wear around your neck or wear on your wrist. At the moment, they'll probably want to inject it into you or put it on the back of your neck or whatever, link it with Neuralink. But anyway, this thing will be on all the time. It's an AI, and it would be listening all the time, interfacing with what's around you all the time. And it would probably be, I think, holographic as well. It would probably have a screen that would be holographic. But yeah, there's people say there's technology can be beneficial for us, but has it been beneficial so far? We're just gonna look at like the trajectory of where we've come, and is technology really benefiting us? I mean, yeah, like when they start amplifying the frequency, the structure of the matter will change. There's like a saying with cymatics: if you amplify the frequency, the structure of the matter will change. But as they amplify this frequency, like this fear frequency, if we amplify our frequency, we can counter that. By amplifying our frequency, there will be a vibration of love, which is the opposite of fear. Because I think what they want to try and do is they want to try and make us loveless. Because really, like, it sounds so cliche, but like that really does conquer all. It's a very powerful vibration. Like, I always view myself as, in one hand, having a sword to slay these motherfuckers, and in the other hand, having something to heal people, because I want to heal people, but at the same time, people need to be slain. But at the same time, if we have a frequency of love, then that's the only thing that counters this. Like, if we're just fighting, warring, like, we can kill these people. Not condoning that. If anyone does want to go ahead, you know, by all means. But it goes beyond just one person, just two people, a group. Even if all the people on an Epstein list were to die, this energy would still be there, because it's a reflection of the collective subconscious. And this is all emerging now. And there are some evil people. Yeah, a lot of them are evil. But I think that the only way we get through it is just by showing people in day to day more love. Because they've put us in boxes. They've tried to like latch us to technology, isolate us, literally, extract our identity. So I think that the only way through this is by this frequency of love. and they can do all of this stuff, manipulate all this horrific shit, but it will dissolve. Maybe in our lifetime, perhaps in our children's lifetime, but that doesn't mean we don't do anything about it, speak up about it, and share and try and combat it in whichever way we see fit. But yeah, there's certainly a lot of fuckery at the world, and it's becoming more and more visible. All of these so-called conspiracies that people were talking about, they're all coming true, but do the majority of the people even know about them? There was a really loud bang upstairs. I don't know if you heard that. Sounds like somebody just dropped a wardrobe upstairs. But anyway, that's my cue to shut up now.
Yeah, brother, you know, and you say it's like an expression of the universal unconscious, and I think there is truth to that. That I can't help wonder whether it's part of a black magic spell, where the beings that are trapped within the eighth sphere, or what we call, you know, the Klipot beings from the abyss, from the Duat, from the sphere that does not exist, is using humanity, is reprogramming our universal, is reprogramming our unconscious from their prison. And they are using these elite bloodlines and families, which they have a foothold in, which they have made contracts with, right? We'll let you be in charge. We'll let you run them, treat them like cattle. Run the show for us. We'll make sure that you guys are remembered when we come and like reorganize the place. And that these elites are being used like cows, basically. We don't really think about that, do we? Are the elites being used like a cow? You know, something milking their teats, and that they're nothing more than a cow, and that they're as trapped in the situation as what they think they are empowered. Maybe they are the ones that are really being trapped. But I think they are being used to program our universal unconscious, humanities. And so it's like it's really important for us as a people to recognize that our unconscious has been compromised. Our group unconscious has been compromised. And for us to start actively undermining the spells, right? Like as actively as we can. And I think a lot of these spells are maintained, you know, obviously we talk about blue light, but I think a lot of it has got to do with the words that we use every day and how we've become patterned and conditioned into particular verbal expressions of idea and emotion through our mouths. I think the words that we say lock us into energy grids and patterns of vibrational frequencies that we become entrained by. We become programmed and entrained by our own words. And I'm always reminding my boy, just like, dude, you mentioned at the beginning of the show, General Shinobi, Toby, about that beast guy. And I've been trying really hard to decondition my 9-year-old because he thinks that beast guy is so super cool. And I'm like, dude, he's not cool. Dude, seriously, you have no idea of how uncool that beast dude is. But he's seen the other kids like rave about this beast guy. And this beast guy, he's the bomb, right? And my 9-year-old's pretty like clued up. Like, I'm scared how clued up he is. I'm like, damn, he's way too clued up for 9, dude. And but he wants to watch it on my TV and on his, and I'm like, you're banned from watching that stuff, dude. And every once in a while, he really wanted to watch this beast thing, and he was complaining. And I said, okay, I'm gonna watch it with you. And what it is this dude's giving away money. That's really what it is. So they entrap people with money. So here's the clue as to what we can do to make sure that we don't get stuck in their glue. And we've got to keep ourselves on the straight and narrow, true, and not allow ourselves to become lost in the feelings blue, because that is when we get sucked down and get dissolved into their black goo.
Yeah.
That is the thing. We gotta watch our affiliation to money. Money, and I always said it when I was a kid, money is the root of all evil. And I think this is how they get us. They get us with money, worrying about money, desiring money, spending money, having money, or wanting money, or hoarding money. You know, spending too much of our time thinking about money, or being obsessed with spending money, you know. And it's one thing or another thing, but it all comes back to the money. And how can we as a society learn to exist within this time, which is a financial reality that, like, you know, we've got to feed our kids, right? It's tricky. But where do we find that line of integrity that aligns our morality with, you know, an outside perspective of ethics? Where's the middle line between morality, ethics, and money? Where is that point within ourselves? When is enough enough? And, you know, the thing is, Howard, you know, I agree with you. Like, money is an issue. And I always, like, you know, when I wasn't a father, I was like, I really didn't, like, I'm really scared of money. You know, I'm genuinely afraid of money, like in the core of my heart, because I know how evil and toxic and enticing and how addictive it can be to just spending money if you have it, right? And just getting what you want. And I think that getting what you want makes us weak morally. Because when we get what we want, our moral fibers start to unwind. And when our moral fibers want to unwind, we start getting a dizzy and twisted etheric framework of a mental idea of ethics. And then our ethics starts to become twisted and curled up. And I think, like that caduceus, right? When we look at the caduceus, it is the balance between morality and ethics that we are looking at, you know. And I think it's really, I think for me, this is like something that I sometimes worry that maybe I'm losing sight of. Something I've always understood as a child. I think it's something we've got to be completely grounded in all the time. We've got to realize every time that we touch money that it is of the beast, that is evil, that it is fundamentally here. It's been created in the way that it exists to program us, that it is spelled. And whether it's digital currency, financial money, currency, notes, whatever form of current we're using, it's a current. And like any current, it charges us, right? We literally get charged, right? What are we getting charged with when we get charged? Money. What does it charge us with? This is the question. What is the energetic vibrational frequency of charge that you get charged when you spend money? Why do you spend money? Are you expending something? Well, what are you expending? What are you giving away in order to become charged? You know? So I think that's our defense against the dark arts.
Yeah, well said. It's 20 to 10, by the way. I know we were going to finish up around 9:30. My throat's really annoying. I'm not on point today. Next time next time, hopefully, I'm going to be able to sort of like say what I want to say a bit clearer, because because my throat's a bit blocked. It's I'm not able to like say all the stuff I want to say. It's not flowing. You know, if you get me, because I'm a bit croaky, so I can hear myself as I'm talking. But so money, like there's money magic, and money is currency, which is a current, which is both an electrical current and a water current. It's this water, and money is strongly associated with water and dreaming, because on the dollar bill you see the pyramid fire in the middle with the eye, the capstone removed. That is the unseen eye. That is the dreaming, and it's removed so that people, and there's 13 steps, 13 bloodline families, or perhaps it's memory, perhaps it's mem, and perhaps that is what this money has been basically doing. It's because like with look, I won't get into it now, but on the dollar bill, that is AI. You have A, the letter A is the pyramid, and then you have the I on top, and it's like it says, he'll be so pleased with our plans, new order of the ages. And you know, we've been building something collectively, and right now it's kind of at a bit of a crescendo of like, well, clearly our money has been going on AI. That's what we've been building. We've been building this artificial layer. But our true store of wealth is wisdom. Wisdom is the highest store of wealth that we can have. Because if you had all the money in the world but you weren't wise, you'd still be unhappy, because you'd spend it on stuff to fill that void. But if you're wise, then you won't need money. And our DNA is our biggest store of wealth. That is our currency, because that's what they're trying to extract now with all this data. And you say Dayat, the Dayat, that path or whatever, or place or realm, whatever it is, it's an anagram of data. The DAAT is data. And that's really what the new currency is our data. That's why we're like pretty much being farmed all the time. They're trying to extract all this data. And the next step, the next stage is biometrics. So in London, they had this like ball, this eye, and they'd give you 25 quid if you go and scan your iris. So I went and had a chat with them. I was like, you do understand what this does? Is it scans your biometrics, and it can basically gather all of the information on what's going on inside your body. It's like a fingerprint for what's going on in your body. Now, pharmaceutical companies would be very interested in this, and what they're trying to do is they're basically, what I think will happen is that they'll have these in shops and stuff where you won't pay with your phone or whatever. You'll pay with your eye. You'll scan your eye, and then pharmaceutical companies will be able to tell exactly what you've brought. They'll be able to tell what's going on in your body and stuff. But I don't think it will get to that point. I know that is a possibility, but what I'm trying to get, my point is that our DNA, our gold, which is in the water, our spark within, that is the real store of wealth. That is something that we have. That's ours. That's our core identity, our soul, that the flame within, and our Sophia, our wisdom. And that is the true store of wealth. So that's what we really need to hold on to. And it's something which I'm not good with economics, but it's like, is it exponential wealth? We got we only have, there's 95% of our DNA is junk. That is wealth that we can grow by questioning, by asking why. Like, why? That's how you get wise, is by questioning. Keep asking questions. Keep on going on that quest with your ions. Keep on questioning. And then as you like go into the water, into your DNA, start climbing the rungs, start climbing that ladder, becoming a vortex, then we'll start igniting this flame in us. And I can see it in people already. It's happening. And that is the biggest store of wealth. And that is the wealth that this parasite is afraid of, because this is the light which will extinguish the shadow. And there is a shadow, and the shadow seeks to put out the flame. But like a candle in a room lights up the whole room, that's what is going to start happening. But of course, when you have a light, the shadow starts revealing itself. But the more and more people start realizing that our true store of wealth is already inside of us, we're not going to find it outside. This is why people like do drugs, like buying cars, this, that. We don't find it externally. We find it from going within. And yeah, obviously water is around our DNA, so we've got to go through the waters, and the waters is our psyche, is our mind. And as we learn new things, listen to new people, like, you know, we start rewiring our brains. We start creating new neural pathways. So there's new pathways which we can go through, and that's expansion. Like going inwards is expansion. So yeah, our DNA is our wealth. That is end game. Extracting our DNA, altering our DNA. But really, that is our true store of wealth, and we already have it.
Well, that's well said, brother. And I think we're getting to a good place to end today's episode. We can do it like weekly. We'll do a weekly session where we'll just add more and continue where we left off, maybe. I wanted to ask you something. Did yourself and Esme move in the last 5 years?
Yeah. How come?
When did you move?
2021. 5 years ago.
When did Esme stop lucid dreaming?
Well, I'll have to ask, but I think it was 2022. We moved in 2021, I think.
Do you have a smart meter in your home?
No.
Is there a localized smart meter between your homes, somewhere nearby?
So we're in a flat, and on the other side of the building, in the basement, there are 3 smart meters, I think. But apparently, yeah, so they're in the basement. But I'm not sure if they'd go up through the floor, because
what floor are you on?
Well, we're on the ground floor, but this is on the other side of the building. But what I'm trying to say is they tried putting them in people's flats, but they couldn't, because they wouldn't reach the basement. So if it works that way, I'm guessing it will work the other way, and if from the basement it won't be able to reach the flats.
The reason I ask you is because my gut feeling, is that maybe there's something going on there. But there's an easy solution. Is your house carpeted?
Yeah, some is, yeah.
In your bedroom, it's carpeted.
Yeah.
So you go to the hardware store and you get the thinnest building lead. It's like rolls of lead sheet. You put it under your bed. You put it in key places where you're going to spend a lot of time. If you have to lift up a carpet, put a layer of lead underneath it. I'm just saying, like, it's not expensive to buy a big roll. It's very super thin. It doesn't need to be thick. And see whether that affects anything.
Well,
You can get these little hand scanners, by the way, that pick up the frequencies. the test for the. But I think like if you're on the ground floor, you might be getting, and maybe her body is really sensitive, and the frequencies is like 2.8 gigahertz, but we don't know. I've known of people getting really ill from these things, and maybe because they put it in the basement, they've cranked up the frequencies, thinking it's safe. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's on the other side of the building. So if we had that lead stuff on the carpet, it might still come through the wall. You can actually get shungite paint, and I think we might be moving soon. Fingers crossed, we might be moving soon. So when we do move to our new place, that's a very good shout of doing that, because we're trying to limit the amount of frequencies. So in our flat, there's probably, in our bedroom, I think it picks up like 5 Wi-Fis. We turn ours off at night. We turn our Wi-Fi off at night. But yeah, man, they've got a Wi-Fi extender in the hallway as well, which picks up in the boys' bedroom and our bedroom. And Wi-Fi extenders are worse than actual Wi-Fi. The frequency they emit is more harmful, and they don't turn theirs off at night, which is annoying. This is why I don't like living in a flat, because you have people around you. Like, we only have one person above us, but it's still, I don't want to be picking up on their frequency. I don't want to be picking up on their frequencies, let alone the Wi-Fi or, you know, smart meters or whatever. But Esme's RH negative blood, so I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it, and that whatever COVID was a weapon to impact people of that blood type, because I've heard that is quite a magical blood group. That blood type. I think is it universal donor as well? I think the elites are very interested in that blood type. They want to be the only ones with that blood type. Yeah.
Well, maybe what you got to do is you've got to get some piece of technology in your house that Wi-Fi interferes with. Do your Google search, what piece of technology is very sensitive to that particular, and then get it in your home, because once you got it legally, you're allowed to complain and they have to remove it. Did you know that? Check it out. If it's jamming any of your technology, if your neighbors, the UK law, if it's jamming any of your technology in any way, you can claim that it's a legal nuisance in your home, and you can ask them to remove the Wi-Fi extender. And you don't ask them, you ask your body corporate, whoever runs your building, you email them with evidence that this technology, and you've been trying to figure out what it was, that's the problem. But you've realized that it's reacting to this because you've done research, and you've written to the, and you've noticed that when you put your Wi-Fi off, it seems like the interference is a bit less, but now you've noticed that the Wi-Fi from your neighbor, when they're using it more extensively. But that might be your solution, to get a very fine piece of technology that's affected by other people's Wi-Fi, so that you can use that as an excuse for why they need to get their Wi-Fi out of your home. Otherwise, if it's not affecting your technology, according to the government, it's not a problem. But if it's jamming your technology, it is considered legally a problem, lawfully.
What is technology? We are technology.
You're right. You're right.
So it's jamming. It's getting me in a jam. So I'll just say that I'm technology, and it's getting me in a jam.
Yeah, man.
But I'll tell you what, they have the council did try installing fans in all of our bathrooms, and we refused. So what I mean, we have fans which we turn on, but they tried installing something where the fan is always on, and this thing is loud. So in bed, I can hear their bathroom fan from when I'm lying in bed. It's not quite annoying. That doesn't stop me sleeping, although I have really heightened hearing. I can hear it though, and I'm just thinking, surely that must be so annoying for them, because you have obviously light pollution, like LED lighting, but also noise. And how can they have this fan on all the time? I don't get it. How can you sleep with that? But anyway, yeah.
Well, brother, God bless you. You know, take the old salt, gargle with this hot, warm salt water. After gargling with warm salt water, get yourself a bit of balsamic vinegar or vinaigrette. Mix it with your honey, stir it up, and you know, knock it back. I hope your voice is going to feel better.
Well,
if you got aniseed's good. Huh?
Well, I wish I could say that I would be able to rest my voice, but I'm doing a podcast in the morning, and it's one I've never been on before. And the lady reached out to me because she heard me on another podcast, and we've been having some chats on Instagram, and I'm really looking forward to it. Her YouTube channel's got quite a big following as well, 12,000 followers. So, and it's going to be live. So I'm not sure what to do because I don't want to cancel it. Hopefully if I gargle some salt water and stuff, it's fine. Anyone in the chat who's here, if they want to join the live tomorrow, I think it's 9 a.m. UK time. Going to be talking about all sorts. So if you go onto my YouTube, Systematic Zoo, I'll share it live to my YouTube as well. 9 a.m. GMT, and I'm gonna go on tomorrow. And I really hope my voice is better because I can't cancel
it. Rest your voice, brother.
So, yeah.
Rest your voice. Gargle your voice. Honey your voice. And I hope it feels better, man. I hope it feels much better. Guys, I hope you guys are all going to have a good day. Take it easy. Keep smiling. Keep jiving. Keep thriving. And we'll be back continuing the blue being bigger picture. I think it's a bigger picture that has yet to expand. And it goes into multiple directions. And Toby's got a lot of information to share as well about, Stranger Things. The only thing stranger than Stranger Things is that fiction isn't quite as strange as reality. So buckle up, peeps. There's going to be a lot more to discuss. Sending you all much love, much blessings, peace, honor, respect. Om Shanti. Big love. Oh, and by the way, peeps, come and see us on Telegram as well. Come on, get onto Telegram. I'm at Bush Whisperer. You are at Systematic Zoo?
I think so. Systematic Zoo or General Shinobi. I can't remember.
Let's check. Get it right so people know. Your
General
one that you're
Shinobi.
using? No. Systematic Zoo. That's the one that you use. General Shinobi is your old one. So at Systematic Zoo.
Yeah.
And at Bush Whisperer.
It's at Systematic Zoo, but my name is General Shinobi on there, so I like to keep it complicated.
Yeah. So you just write at Systematic Zoo. I think your name is Systematic Zoo on there, dude.
Is it?
Yeah. No, General Shinobi. You're right. You're right. Sorry. The picture is Systematic Zoo. Yeah. I see the picture. I don't look at the name.
Yeah, looking forward to the next conversation we have, because I won't have a croaky voice and a sore throat, so we can properly get into it, because it's a massive distraction. It's annoying. So
dude, lapis lazuli. Have you got any?
No.
Have you got some?
Oh, actually, Orion got a big rock filled with little crystals for his birthday, which he was smashing. And he did get a little lapis lazuli, but I'm not sure if it's legit. But I'll have to check it out. May have a small one. You mentioned it's good for Capricorn, is that?
Yeah, but it's good for your throat, man.
If you're throat, right?
Very good for the thyroid and the parathyroid. It supports the parathyroid and it soothes the thyroid, the frequency.
Maybe it's part of this throat chakra opening, because I've definitely felt a huge opening in my heart like the past year. Like literally feel the vibration. Like that's the frequency of love, when you just like when you feel it. And it's like when you go deep into all of this info and stuff, it can get a bit dark and whatever, and it's like you've got to weave through it. And when you do get through it, you just meet it with that frequency, and it's a vibration. It's just a state of being. It's like beyond fear. So I think the next bit is this.
One more thing I'm going to say to you: go to the Chinese shops where they do Chinese food and get the big bags, the massive bags of dried shiitake mushrooms. Yeah. And soak them in hot water. Well, you carve them up with a sharp knife into thin slices, chop them into little bits, and soak them in hot water out of the kettle, and cook with it all the time, because that will rebuild gut biome. Yeah, because it's a perfect food for the right gut biome. So shiitake mushrooms, but buy it like in bulk from those Chinese shops. You get the big bags. Like I pay about I get a bag like this big, which is like 2 or 3 months supply, and it costs me about what, 20-30 quid. But that's like a 2-3 month supply of like I've got shiitake mushrooms coming out of my ears because they're dried. So you take a handful and you chop them up, and then they expand, and that might help for your immune system as well, and for your whole family. This is good.
Yeah.
I feed my boy shiitake mushrooms all the time. He never gets sick.
I haven't been unwell in a long time. Loads of people have been getting flu and this and that, and I've been a bit cocky, like thinking I'm untouchable. I'm so healthy. And then now, yeah, and then now I have had this conversation, and then this conversation tomorrow as well. And the last time I had a few chats like booked, I had a throat as well. So yeah, we have kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi and stuff. That's all good for your gut too. But yeah, shiitake, didn't realize that. So yeah,
sauerkraut puts the biome in your gut. Shiitake feeds the biome. Kefir puts the biome in your gut, but sauerkraut is the best. That is the bomb. The bomb. It's got all three of the really important biomes. Moonfeather. I didn't see Moonfeather arrive. Namaste, Moonfeather, Howard, Gaz, Vincent. Who else is there? Sorry, like I moved down. Mook. Namaste, Mook, 1993. And Tom Rue and Howard and all of you guys. Astar Ali, the Star. Big love to all of you. Have an absolutely great evening. And let's let Shinobi go and rest his voice. It's been an honor, brother, as always.
big love.
Take it easy. Om Shanti.